Hello and welcome to Paradise Wildlife Park. My name is Aaron and I'm joined by Dan, who's part of our reptile team here at Paradise. And today we're going to be introducing you to one of our most incredible species of animal that we have on site, our Green Anaconda Optimus Prime. So, follow us. So welcome to our Amazon and Beyond building. Dan, can you just tell us what the first animals are that people see when they come in to our fantastic facility?
So the first animal that people see is one of our fish species, which is our red-bellied piranhas, which as you can see are just here in this tank. A bit further on, we then come on to our beady lizard. Our beady lizard, his name is Fergus, and he's one of our venomous lizards that we have here on site. Now he's currently just in here, making his way around at the moment. He's just under his hotspot at the moment, he is.
And how many venomous lizard species are there in the world, Dan?
So there's typically two, but obviously there is a debate over the third one, which is the Komodo dragon. Obviously there's these guys with the big lizards and the Gila monsters. Into here though, we then come on to our false water cobra. Now she's also a venomous species, she's just down here, she is. Now with her, she is what we class as being a rear fang snake, meaning her fangs look at the back of her mouth.
And then of course if you turn around and do almost a whoa.
And as just in here, we then come to our Green Anaconda, and this is Optimus Prime. As you can see, she's just down here in the water at the moment. But what we're going to do here is we're going to be obviously feeding her today for you guys. Now, what she's being fed today? She's being fed rats today. She is. And obviously, one part of her diet is typically obviously mammals. Obviously, she will eat a variety of different mammals. Obviously, one of the mammals will be things such as rats, as we can see here today. Now, obviously, typically she is a constrictor. And what she'll do is she'll grab onto her prey and then she'll wrap around it very tightly.
And how many teeth does Optimus have?
So Optimus has roughly about 120 teeth in their mouth. They're all curved and they all face backwards, they do. The reason behind that is that when she grabs onto her prey, she doesn't have any hands to hold onto it. So she uses her mouth basically as one big hand, effectively, to hold onto her food.
And can you just explain a little bit about the methods we use here at Paradise to feed Optimus and some of the other reptiles?
So obviously the method you can see at the moment is what we class being tongue feeding. Obviously Jenny here, she's using obviously some tongs to basically feed Optimus. Now the reason behind that is because we don't really want to be getting our hands very close to her. She has the potential to wrap around whatever she believes is food. Now if that is sadly one of your hands, obviously you're not getting it back very easily. Other methods though, obviously we do things called shift boxes as well. And now with those boxes, what we'll do is we'll put food in there, and obviously the venomous reptiles such as our false water cobra, she'll go into that box, and we can lock and seal her in there, meaning obviously we are complete safety.
And can you just explain a little bit about Optimus's size?
So Optimus currently, she is, at the moment, she's 15.5 feet long, which is just over 5 meters long, and she currently weighs in at 105 kilos. To give people a rough idea, that works as being roughly almost 15 to 16 stone in some cases. She is a very big girl. Now she has the potential to reach a full size of up to 30 feet long and weighing in at 230 kilos. So to give people a rough idea, that's up to a potential weight of obviously almost 30 stone and lengthwise of about 10 meters long.
Whereabouts would anacondas naturally come from?
So anacondas, they're found in South America. There's 9 different countries that you found in. Wherever the Amazon River is found, these guys can be found within that area as such.
And are there any other species of anaconda aside from the green?
So obviously we also have got yellow anacondas that live obviously in the wild as well, alongside these guys as well. However, they are incredibly smaller in size, almost half the size as such.
And obviously Optimus is a female, despite the awesome name Optimus Prime. Can you just give a bit of an idea as to the size of males compared to females in the world of anacondas?
So females, they are the largest sex. So females can, in some cases, weigh up to twice the weight of a male. Males will still get to the same length, however, they will only weigh in at roughly about 100 to 120 kilos in weight as such. The reason behind that is because when it comes to mating season, you'll typically find 4 to 5 males will wrap around one female, and that will happen in the water. This allows us, the female being so much larger, to continue her normal life without obviously being forced underwater for too long by the rest of the males.
And why do anacondas typically tend to spend so much time in the water?
So with anacondas, obviously these guys here, their skeletal structure is very different to ours. Not just because they don't have any arms or legs, mainly down to their actual chest, obviously how that works. Now we've got a lovely bone. If you put your hand right in the middle of your chest, which for this lovely bone there, that basically fuses your ribs together. These guys don't have that. The reason they don't have that is because they can swallow prey, which is very large, things such as capybara or deer. That means that obviously her ribs have to be able to move. However, sadly, because of that, obviously her sheer weight means that obviously she actually has to use her sheer muscle mass to support her own body weight. Now once she's past a certain weight, the water alleviates all that pressure, meaning she actually becomes waterbound at a certain weight.
Now, obviously, you spoke about her being a constrictor snake. Does this mean that she has any venom whatsoever?
So she has no venom whatsoever. Any constrictor species has got no venom whatsoever. They use their sheer size and muscle mass to overpower their prey.
You spoke about capybara and deer. Are there any other species of animal that she would eat naturally out in the wild?
So in the wild, typical diet for these guys here would consist of obviously deer, pigs, capybara, caiman, and in some cases jaguars as well.
And obviously, we've seen her at this size now. How big would they actually be when they start out?
So typically these guys here, when they're first officially born, they're born roughly about 2 foot long, and they weigh in at maybe a couple of kilos.
Now, anacondas, I understand they're quite unique. These guys don't actually lay eggs, do they? Which is unique for reptiles.
Yeah, so these guys here, they're part of the boa family. Now, boas, 99% of them will actually give birth to like young. So very similar to how mammals will give birth to things like that as well.
And can you just explain to people at home how we generally tend to work with our anacondas here at Paradise?
So we work through these guys through a free contact system, mainly because obviously it's a very large enclosure and we can work quite safely in here as long as there's multiple keepers. The reason why there has to be multiple of us is just for pure safety factors. So we follow our protocols to make sure that our keepers here stay as safe as possible.
Obviously, you said she comes from anacondas come from South America naturally. Obviously, it's naturally quite warm there. So how do we ensure that we can keep those temperatures up here in captivity?
So the Amazon building, which you guys will see if you ever come here, obviously it is very well insulated. It's also got a variety of different methods and heaters, things like that. It's also got a backup basically gas heater as well, which in some cases if needed be, if it drops by 20 degrees, it actually kicks in and makes sure that obviously this enclosure stays at roughly around about 28 degrees all year round at this current moment in time.
Now, how long has Optimus actually been here at Paradise for?
So Optimus has been here roughly around about 12 to 13 years. She came to us at quite a young age. Obviously, with her hip, obviously she's been with us quite a while. The reason behind that is down to the case, obviously, the previous owners, obviously they felt those would be very good to put them on display for educational purposes. Now, with her hip, obviously she's done very well here. Obviously, she's got a very nice enclosure she has. And we like to obviously pride ourselves, and obviously with her being here, she has got very good educational purposes for showing one of the largest species of snakes in the world.
And are anacondas endangered?
So anacondas, they're classed as being obviously in the region of around about vulnerable least concern. The reason behind that is because they're actually doing very well out in the wild. The problem is, as we all know, with any rainforest dwelling species, one of the biggest problems is deforestation or loss of habitat. Now with these guys, sadly, one of the biggest threats things that actually face at the moment is actually the introduction of hydroelectric dams, which have been in place in some areas. Which is, for us, obviously it's fantastic because effectively it's renewable energy, which is great. However, for these guys here, it can cause a few issues, mainly during the rainy season, when obviously the hydroelectric dams are actually flooded and obviously release that water. It can release hundreds of thousands of tons of water in mere minutes, which can cause issues with these guys in their natural habitat, causing flash flooding in some cases.
And how often do we actually feed Optimus?
So we feed her once every 4 weeks, which is once a month roughly. Now she's fed a large quantity of food, she's fed a variety of obviously items. As you can see here, she will eat in roughly around about 6 to 10 rats in one go, or she might eat 2 to 3 rabbits, or a few chickens, things like that. So we try and obviously make sure that she eats a varied diet, mainly in cases so she gets all the vitamins and minerals that she would need to survive.
And as you can see, she is showing just a little bit of interest in her food. How long can anacondas go without eating? I know we said we feed them on average once a month, but can they go a longer period of time without eating?
So anacondas, they have the potential to go roughly up to 8 to 9 months without eating. Typically in the wild, these guys only eat 2 to 3 times a year.
That's incredible. Now, obviously you said they don't really weigh a lot when they're in the water. Are they able to swim quite fast?
So these guys can swim incredibly fast when they want to. They can. They very much glide through the water. With these guys here, because obviously they're almost weightless in the water. These guys can propel themselves very quickly when they want to in the water.
And how are they able to swallow their prey whole?
So with these guys, with all snakes, obviously these guys here, they've got what we class as being
Constrictor?
a dislocatable jaw, effectively.
Oh, right, okay.
So with these guys here, what she'll be able to do is obviously her actual bottom jaw comes in 2 bones, meaning she can actually open her mouth sideways, very wide as well, due to very elasticated ligaments and tendons in her mouth. But also the actual jaw at the back can actually dislocate completely from her actual skull, meaning she can actually open her mouth anywhere up to 7 times the size of her head. And she can swallow large different types of prey very easily. She can.
And how long do anacondas generally tend to live for?
So she typically, anacondas in the wild will live for about 12 years. In captivity, they can live up to 30 years.
Awesome. As you can see, she's just taken another rat. And how long does it generally take her to, eat and digest the rats?
So with any, obviously with her here, typically you're looking at roughly about 36 hours to fully digest her food. Eating wise though, she can actually eat an entire rat within about 5 minutes, if not a shorter period of time. However, the larger the meal, obviously the larger period of time it will take to actually fully eat her food as such.
And what times of the day do you generally tend to find she's most active?
So with these guys, you typically find these guys are most active during obviously the dawn and dusk sort of period. So they're what we class as being a crepuscular animal, really. However, there isn't a typical time where she's most active, but that's typically the most time when she mostly is. But she can be active during the night time or during daytime. It all depends on what mood she's in. But typically, it'll be dawn and dusk.
So reticulate pythons are famous for being the longest snakes in the world, getting to just over 30 feet. But what's the kind of size comparison for anacondas? Because a lot of people often say that anacondas are the biggest of all the snakes. So where does that come from?
So with anacondas here, obviously, typically with anacondas, obviously they're classed as being the biggest snake, but mainly in the case of girls, they're so heavy. Obviously, as I said before, she can reach a max size of about 230 kilos, and that is an enormous amount of weight for a snake. Reticulated pythons typically will only reach about a max of about 80 to 90 kilos at a largest size. So these guys actually almost twice the weight, if not close to 3 times the weight of a reticulated python. But obviously reticulated pythons are the longest one, coming in at a max of 33 feet, so just slightly longer than the anaconda.
How's she doing with her food? She managing?
Yeah, so she's doing quite well. She's at the moment eating her food quite happily, she is. But with her though, obviously she does take her time. So obviously sometimes she might wait a bit longer to eat her food and things like that. So sometimes she'll eat and then come back to it later on, things like that.
Do we ever feed her anything bigger than rats?
So we can feed her a variety of prey. So we feed her things such as rats, rabbits, quails, chickens, and things like that typically.
And obviously, snakes of this size are famous for being able to eat people. Is this true?
So at the size that she currently is now, she could not eat people. However, when she's fully grown, she will be able to eat, obviously, people quite easily, especially children, obviously depending on obviously how wide your shoulders are. So the further width of the shoulders, then obviously she's less likely to be able to eat you, because our shoulders don't bend in like a deer or things like that. And me, and obviously with her, obviously it's almost near impossible for her to be able to swallow, for example, me whole, because my shoulders are too far apart. However, obviously you find someone who's quite narrow, obviously she will find that quite easy to eat.
As you can see, she's just wrapping herself around that food nicely. So it is going to take her a fair bit of time to digest that. So while she is just digesting that wrap, we're going to say goodbye. Obviously, we do hope that during this coronavirus pandemic that everyone who's been watching this is staying home and staying safe. Please take the government's advice. Obviously, we do still have to care for the animals, so we do come under essential workers, because obviously without us, these animals wouldn't be able to survive. The thing that's obviously really affecting us is that, unlike a lot of businesses, wildlife parks, we can't just shut down because we do need to care for those animals. So we are losing all forms of income that goes towards protecting and looking after these animals here at Paradise. It's costing us thousands of pounds every single day. So if you are interested in helping us out in any way, then please visit our Just Giving page. Go to justgiving.com and then /animal support fund, or please visit our website, which is pwpark.com. Obviously, when the coronavirus pandemic is over, we do look forward to welcoming you back to Paradise, and hopefully you can come and see Optimus in all of her glory. But in the meantime, as I said, please stay home, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you at some point soon. Take care, guys.